Hey everyone, I hope that you're having a good day and we want to help make your day a little bit better with the Georgia Foodcast. I have Jessica Rothacker from Heirloom Cafe here on our Zoom call today, and we're just going to talk through how the world is changing, what she is doing in the good food movement, and just some interesting stuff for y'all to grasp onto. So, Jessica, thank you so much for being on today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoy your foodcast, and so I'm excited to be here.
Thanks for listening. Yeah, it's a little bit of a different medium right
Yeah.
now, but I'm glad I can still see some friendly faces on it.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess let's just start by talking for anybody who hasn't been to Athens or hasn't eaten at Heirloom Cafe. There's more than just a restaurant involved. Can you just guide me through, first of all, how long have y'all been in business at this point, and just the history and mission behind your brand?
Certainly. We've been open since June of 2011, and so almost 9 years now, which feels like a very long
Wow.
time, but also feels like nothing, right? But so we are in the Boulevard neighborhood of Athens, which is a nice historic residential neighborhood on a cross street with an industrial corridor. So we're right there at the corner in the center of the neighborhood. We're a neighborhood centered restaurant, I suppose. Our mission is creating community, celebrating farmers, and telling the story through food. So we try to be very involved with our community, doing outreach and working with nonprofits, as well as we are a farm to table restaurant. We work with a lot of the farmers in the surrounding areas, as I'm sure most of the people you speak to do. And then we are always interested in having a story behind the food and communicating it to our guests. And right when we started having to do to go only, we were actually scheduled to have a dinner called Mountain Table that would have been Appalachian cuisine with Virginia wines, and I was so excited about
So
that.
cool.
So we're hoping to do that now in the fall, because it was scheduled for March 18th. So yeah, unfortunately, but that's an example of trying to tell the story through food, that the kind of things we do there. So
I really feel like that is suited toward fall too. When I
yeah,
think of that,
there were a lot of apples on the menu. It was early March, and so it seemed like we could still make that work. But I think it'll be really nice in the fall. So
yeah,
it'll work just fine.
absolutely. And I think, yeah, it's a really cool thing to think how much the food world has evolved in recent years, but even just 9 years ago, for you to make this your mission to locally source your food and really have a story behind all the food that you bring into your cafe, that was something new and different for the wider community of greater Atlanta and Athens too. So you've really preserved that through 9 years in the restaurant industry, an eternity.
Yeah.
It's really, really great and special. And so in your to-go orders, you're still sourcing locally. You're still, I would think, even more in touch with the farming community right now, or how is that going?
We are still sourcing locally. We are actually on a pause right now. So we stopped serving even to go as of this week, and are paused until May 2nd. And we're going to reassess where the world is at that point.
Yeah.
I know that we plan to do some Mother's Day meal kit type things, but we just weren't able to really make any money in the to-go model. So we were breaking even, which was fine, but it didn't seem like just having our employees be able to get out of the house and not be bored was a reason justifiable enough to continue to put people at risk. So we decided to shut it down for a little while and see where things were. But up until last week, we were definitely still sourcing local. We were working with Collective Harvest and Woodland Gardens. We're still getting our meat from Pastures of Rose Creek and Comfort Farms, and just reaching out to them. We had to limit things a little bit because we had a pretty limited menu, and we had to pare down our staff in the kitchen in order to be able to afford to be open. So we had to be able to have everything be one person worth of cooking to do, and so we just had to limit it down. But yeah, we were still doing as much sourcing locally as we could. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And I just wonder, and I think this could be helpful to understand the progress to other restaurant owners and just people that are in the same boat as you is like, so through the progression of this pandemic economy, and I don't know the proper way to really tell how grand this is to the world, but I mean, how did you make those decisions to say, okay, let's try this to go model, let's scale down how many people are in the kitchen? Like, what influenced those decisions and what made those feel like the right things for you?
So around the second week in March was spring break for UGA, and so it was a pretty slow week for us, and there was a lot happening in the world of this pandemic at that time, and it was the beginning of like when people were starting to get pretty scared in the US. And so we actually decided, while things were slow, to go ahead on March 16th, which was a Monday and is usually a pretty slow day for us anyways. We just decided to close that day, and like as a management staff try to figure out what was best for the restaurant to do. And we decided as a whole that it was better to do to go already at that point, even though it was before the recommendations by the state and even our local government. And so we started on March 17th, we started doing to go only. And then we did that for several weeks. For Easter, we did meal kits, which really was great. Like we got a lot of support from the community on meal kits, and we had people come and pick them up on Saturday, and they were able to heat them up at their home and have Easter brunch and Easter dinner options from us, which really felt good. And
Yeah.
that was a lot of hours of work to make that happen as far as our kitchen staff, but it was really worth it. And then after that, we just decided to kind of play it by ear some more. We thought of maybe trying some other meal kit options, which I know have been super successful for a lot of restaurants. But we just decided that it wasn't necessarily the best thing for us at this time. We were lucky enough to get the PPP loan, and so we're in a good place where we're able to pay our staff right now, even though we don't have to open up right now. So that's what ultimately led to the decision of closing for a few weeks, is that we have the luxury of being able to still pay people. And so that's where we are right now.
Yeah. I just have to like give you props as a business owner and a champion in the good food movement. Like just being open about this whole process and being able to think creatively and think on your feet and try to do what's best for everybody involved. Like that's a lot to have on your shoulders. So you're doing a great job getting through this right now. Like, and it's only temporary, even though it's not easy to think through that at all times. But I'm happy that the meal kits were something successful for you, and to feel that, because that's really why you got into this business in the first place, to feel that connection with other people through food, and you were still able to provide that in a new way.
It's generally, and it's hard to have that connection when everything is just like somebody comes and picks something up off of a table outside and you never even see them. That's not the same as serving people in a restaurant. And I want to get back to that as soon as possible, but it just doesn't feel like this is the right time yet. It's still risky right now. And my parents are in their 70s. My dad and I are partners in the restaurant, and I laid him off like immediately. I not laid him, like he's still working, but like I was like, I need you to not come to the restaurant anymore. I want to make sure that you are well and that my mom is well, and so they're quarantining right now and just have like been hanging out and doing a lot of walking. So I just want to keep people safe. So it's yeah. And so I've just started my quarantining this week. But so it's all new to me now.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an adjustment for sure. And all of this is an adjustment. And as we know, it's just this growing experience for all of us. Can be taken a lot of different ways. It's different on a daily basis. But I think that it's cool to know that it's kind of hand in hand, that like, I just from speaking to a lot of people in the good food movement and you right now, it's like your safety, for your care for people extends beyond just giving them meals that nourish their bodies and make them feel good. You care about everybody's safety and well-being, and that's the place that you're making decisions on and guiding your decision making, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, what this really is for me is an opportunity to connect to people through food. Like that's why I have the restaurant in the first place. I I identify as an introvert, but I feel like the way that I like really reach out to people is by cooking for them. Like I feel like my love language is like acts of service and gift giving, and so like that's what food is, kind of, is both of those things, and that's the way that I connect with people. So I'm happy that we were able to have a part of people's special celebrations for Easter, and that we will be for Mother's Day. But as far as just like to go, it's just not the same. It's not that special connection. So yeah.
Absolutely. And it's throughout this process, it just seems that you're going to take in all information and make the right decisions with what you're given. So, everything could change. It feels like we've been in this for 3 years, but it's only been like a month.
I know.
So it really could change. Do you feel like the community has had your back through this, and the Georgia Organics community? Tell me about how that has supported you through this whole change and uprooting.
Well, I know that Lauren Cox was really great about reaching out to everybody who's a farmer partner
Champion, yeah.
and trying to get a list of everybody who's still feeding people and get that out to the public and promote everyone. That's been really great. So I really appreciate that. I think that the communication that Georgia Organics as a whole has done about how to support the farming community and how to support local restaurants has been fantastic. And I just really appreciate that you guys have my back. As far as the local community, Athens went into a state of local emergency before the state declared it, and our mayor Kelly Gertz is very like he's trying to keep our community safe and doing everything he can to do so. So I know that he's looking out for us, and that's the people of the community are also looking out for us. And with our announcements about staying closed, people have been thanking us for that on our social media. So I feel like we have the support, and when we get back open, then people will come in and dine with us again. So hopefully that will all happen sooner rather than later, but not too soon. So
yeah, using all of the information you're given and making the right decision. Yeah. I think that what you're seeing and what you're telling me you're seeing is that the community admires you and respects you for making those decisions, and the community will be is loyal now, but will continue that loyalty once you're able to be open again. And you've taken a lot of information and been able to make this work for you. Make this work in the best way that you can with the circumstances that you're given. Right. Do you have any advice that has really resonated with you in order to help guide you through this process? Or do you have any advice that you'd want to share with other good food movement leaders in Georgia?
I think I don't have any real specific advice, but just know that everyone is doing the best they can, and everyone knows that no one can really do anything out of their control. So we're just all trying our hardest, and thank you. Thank you for doing what you can. That's all I really can say. So
yeah. I agree with that sentiment too, that it's just as long as you're trying, then that's really what matters right now. And just try, and you certainly are, and you are a leader in the good food movement, and we just respect you so much for everything that you're doing from before and for now and for the future, because that will be that will soon come. And so I also just want anybody who is in Athens, near Athens, or just part of the larger good food movement community, where can we find Heirloom Cafe, and how can we support you right now?
So right now, you can go on our website, which is heirloomathens.com, and there is a link there to a special t-shirt, or it's actually t-shirts and tanks and totes that we are using as a fundraiser during this time. And it's an online sale that is super cute. It's like two tomatoes hugging each other. It's adorable. So that's a way that you can support us, is by buying some of that merch. Otherwise, I can do phone orders for gift certificates. And then I would love for people to order meal kits for Mother's Day. And then once we get our doors back open for to-goes again and gradually reopen, just come and see us. So
That's
yeah,
all great advice. I love the tomatoes shirt. I think
it's so
it's
adorable.
absolutely adorable. I can always take some food merch. So, but a lot of people watching or listening to this can help support Heirloom in any way that you can, even sharing this post and tagging Heirloom and just spreading the word about Heirloom Cafe would be really great and helpful during this time. So, Jessica, thank you so much for
Thank
being on
you.
this. And please know that Georgia Organics and the Georgia Foodcast is here if you need anything else, anything shared. And we want to support you through the good times and the strange times all the time.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Great. I'm going to stop recording and then I'll just chat with you at the end. Okay.